There is a tree that is not manifest anywhere, and yet it manifests everywhere. In its simplest form, this tree is a single shoot, reaching out from the earth as though for the first time. In subsequent iterations, this shoot is a stem, a single stem that produces a single leaf at its furthest most tip. The leaf has the form of the tree imprinted in it, and the life of the stem is the leaf's life. And the perceptions of the leaf allow the stem to perceive the manifest world of earth, air, fire, water, and ether. And even as the leaf falls, it still contains the life of the stem and allows the stem to see for a time. As the leaf degrades and fades, the stem remembers what the leaf showed it and lives on. In time, across iterations, the shoot and the stem are a tree trunk that produces branches. Each branch is younger than the trunk, the original stem. But the life of the trunk is the life of the branches. At the outer levels of the tree's maturity, the tree produces many leaves from branches of all ages. The leaves see each other and recognize each other as more alike than different. But each leaf is perceiving the manifest world for its own specific branch, however old that branch may be. The trunk that was the stem that produced the first leaf continues to produce its own leaf, so that it may perceive the manifest. The quality of this leaf is not significantly greater or lesser than those of its neighbours. Yet still, it is the oldest part of the tree's living memory that looks out at the manifest through this leaf. The leaf that is looked through, it's just a leaf, like all the rest. And that which is looking, it's just older, that's all. As leaves, it is good for us to have other leaves that remember more than we. The leaves come and go, but the tree that is unmanifest everywhere manifests leaves everywhere, eternally. The tree gets to know itself and the sky and earth via its trunk and its roots, its branches, and then leaves. And ultimately as one would ever need, the tree sees that really it also is only a branch. So, going back to the original stem and that first leaf that is eternally there within the tree, where is love, meaning and satisfaction for that mere mortal scrap of a leaf? Well, The single shoot, the single stem, the single trunk had and has a single corresponding root. This is the root that is just as old as the trunk, because they each exist because of the other. The root does for the trunk what the trunk cannot do. The trunk does for the root what the root cannot do. They each live in their own world, and these worlds are joined. The underworld and the higher planes, each because of the other. Each is the roots of the other's tree. Each is the tree of the other's roots. They cause each other. They are each other. They have known each other as long as they have known their self. Each for the other is the one that has always been there. With them, for them, because of them, as their laughing reflection. The tree is the tree of truth that must iterate forever. To raise my hands to your sky, I plant my feet in your earth. To see you grow tall and blossom forth, I offer my own earth to ground, nourish and support you. For when all is done and told, truth will still be true. When all eternity is packed away, I am nothing without you. There is only truth, truth, and more truth. In those times when you are at the deepest, darkest, coldest bottom of the deepest, darkest, coldest pit, alone, and you ask, from the bottom of this well, what is happening and what would really feel better rather than worse? The answer is only, there is truth, truth, and nothing but truth. There is truth and its expression. And although the expression is ever-changing, it forever remains the expression of truth that cannot not be true. The human life that blooms, blossoms, and dies, it is not you, it is your expression. Just as the word that leaves your lips is not you, though it is of you. It is your gift. It is your gift, or it is your curse, or it is your silence. What leaves your lips is your gift, your curse, or your silence. The human life you live is your gift, or your curse, or your silence. And it is the gift, the curse, or the silence you give to yourself. That's how it is, my dears. If you curse your eternity, your eternity becomes cursed. If you give your eternity only silence, your eternity becomes unloved. If you gift your eternity words of love, your eternity becomes your eternal gift, tailor-made for you, by you, in due simmering. And this is what will feel better rather than worse. Lie culture makes the wholehearted embracing of unconditional love seem a ridiculous thing, a thing of weakness, ignorance, and ineffective oversimplification. Those who do it are hopeless do-gooders who are living in some escapist fantasy land. The reason unconditional love is not weakness, but strength, is because it comes from a self-love that has already been established. When it comes to the unconditional love of life, of existence, and all it contains, we love the center of it first. And relative to you, you are that center, because that center is your center. And the love that is established in the center has nowhere else to go but outwards. Be yourself, boldly and wisely, for truly, actually, there are none above you in all eternity. And this love that you long for from the world and the cosmos, it will be, because it can only be, because it already and always is, the rather overwhelming reflection of your own deep, resounding love for you and your eternal center. When it comes to the eternal one I am and the company they keep throughout all eternity, it is you and your eternal center all the way together forever. This is how it is for me, because this is just how it is eternally for us all. And the only way you can do anything good about it, well, you first need to recognize it at all as how it is. The parent wishes to see the children at play. The elder wishes to see the entire tribe at play. Be yourself, truly and wisely, and go and play. That's what I wish to see. You can declare to yourself and to the world at any time ever, I am the eternal one I am, and there is nobody above me. And there is nobody that is below me. There is nobody that is below me. There are those that are younger than me, shorter than me, thinner than me, but there can be none that are below me, for their centre is my centre. My centre is theirs. And there is no below the centre. There is only outwards from it. So it is, so it can only be. You are below no one. You are above no one. This truth is primal. It underlies all complex interpretations of truth. It applies to all complex expressions and experiences of truth. And this simply means that you can declare to yourself and the world, I am the eternal one. I am, and nobody is above me, and nobody is below me. You can declare that at any time, in any location, in any context, and be sure that you speak words that are true. I do recommend it as a useful practice for your cognitive shift. I am the eternal one. I am. Nobody is above me. Nobody is below me. I am no longer ashamed, no longer apologetic. Who shall I even feel shamed by in the first place? Who is it that is so above me? Nobody. There's nobody there. And as always, when I talk from that knowledge of the pure and simple fact that there is only one of us here, I speak words that you also can speak, and be confident that you are speaking the truth. Yes, it is true that in the past I have done things. I have done X, Y, and Z, and more than once. I have done all these things, and so, and I am here, and I am now, as always. I've done many, many things in the past, most of which I can't even remember. And this is not surprising, for I am the Eternal. What am I doing right now? What will I be doing in the future? How much have I understood? How much have I misinterpreted? All of the things you have done that you can remember, that you regret, those things are done. You are the Eternal. Let what you know is done be done. Simply know the truth of it. I am the Eternal. I have done things. I will do things. I choose. I feel the result. I reflect. I choose. I feel the result. I reflect forever. And shame doesn't come into it. Not when there is only one of us here. What I see so much of in the human world around me is people who don't know being taught by people who don't know. Do you see any signs of that? Have you ever scrolled a YouTube feed? Do you see how much of our human society, our culture, is based on people who don't know being taught by people who don't know? When we teach others, such as our children, the lies we have been taught, we are teaching those who do not know what we do not know. Through no fault of our own, we have all done this and continue to do it today. Those who teach us what they do not know with the greatest air of authority are given status, while those wise enough to admit what they do not know feel their status withheld. Just as the roots of love come from within, so too do the roots of status come from within, rather than being bestowed from without. In the natural hierarchy of the moment, in the natural hierarchy of the movement of truth, of the living unified field, which is existence, your status is both absolute at the soul level and relative to the moment at the self level, whether your self is showing up as human or otherwise in the moment. I am both. In any given room, the eternal one I am, and the second or third or fourth or whatever, oldest, youngest, tallest, shortest, thinnest, fattest, fastest, slowest, whatever. In the case of relative status, none of us get a say in my natural status, not even me, because it is truth itself that determines how tall I am, how tall my human body is, relative to the bodies of any neighbouring humans. So, in any given room within the moment, I may find myself to be the third tallest, the fifth strongest, the one with the least experience of cryptocurrency, the oldest, the second least physically fit, or whatever. Do you see how this relationship between the absolute and the relative allows the absolute to experience pleasure, pain, fear, and joy along with everything else? It is good. It is very good. I am the eternal one I am, and I do not wish for my eternity to be one thing. I do not wish to know only one quality of existence forever. I wish for surprise and delight. Why should I not? How could I not. I am the eternal one I am, and I wish to know what it is to feel uncertain, to long and to hope, without the certainty that my hopes will be met, without the knowledge of how they will be met. I can be and am, in the moment, both certain that I am the eternal one I am, and unsure of precisely how that is going to show up from one passing the moment to the next. And I am so glad of this. I am so glad I do not know the future, that I cannot precisely predict the mystery. Because I recognize the mystery, that thing that can feel so unsettling to us. I recognize it as the mystery of myself. The future that I step into, though it be unknown to me, there's no doubt whatsoever that it is mine. And what later me will discover my future to be, it is a string of gifts lovingly crafted by earlier me. That is what you will find your future, your eternal future, to be. That is all it can be, all it must be, and more. All of my human uncertainty, idiosyncrasy, and imperfection, it is as much my gift as all the rest of it. And so it is with you. The places we have been willing to go, to delve into and explore via our choices. Oh my goodness. Did I ever dream, did we ever dream existence could be so rich as this? Here's a truth I have discovered about myself in this context we are sharing here, right now. And I suspect it may be a universal truth, so I'll present it as so. You being your authentic self right now, it's a problem for others. It's a problem for those dedicated to their particular corner of lie culture, which, right now, is almost everybody, as good as. So, you, being your authentic self, many, many people in your life won't like it and won't want it for you. Which is really the darndest thing, because what we all wish for so much is that it be okay for us to be us. And as somebody now dedicated to optimal coherency, it is your job to accept that some people don't like your authentic choices. And then shrug unapologetically and get on with it anyway. All you really wish for is for it to be well and good that you be you. But the great key holder, the true permission giver, is you. You and nobody but you, dear Sovereign. There is so much abuse in our human world right now that many of us don't even recognize the ways in which we abuse ourselves and each other as abuse. That's how much abuse is rife in our human culture across all demographics. And it is all born from the same single shared root cause, which is the involuntary and unavoidable self-amnesia we had to experience in coming here. In other words, it all stems from us not recognizing, not being able to remember ourself. And this journey through amnesia is one that we undertook and have taken together. And it has been, and still is, hideous and amazing. As our coherency increases, the hideous aspects will decrease. And the amazing aspects, I can barely imagine. When we look at the broadest overview of human esoteric models of the nature of existence, we include religions, spiritualist models, physics, mathematics, philosophies, occultism, mysticism, and so on and so forth. And they are all as contrasting as the colours of the colour sphere. And it would be no wonder if you simply lump me in with them all as espousing just another unverifiable model. Because really, what is there to distinguish this man's outlook from all the others? Well, obviously, I'm going to tell you. But please, this is not a case of me thinking I am better than you because I see you as being filled with lie culture while I am untainted. I have been accused of this kind of thing. This is a case of me seeing I have an advantage over you because I see that I am filled with lie culture and I don't like it, while all around me are those who do not see how filled with lie culture they are and do not like it. In our ongoing expansion of self-awareness as human beings, we, the human collective, seek the answers to our two core abiding concerns incessantly. What is happening? What would feel better rather than worse? And each of our contrasting esoteric systems looks in the opposite direction to the direction of its polar counterpart. So, for example, physics looks to empirical observation for the answers to what is happening and what would feel better rather than worse, while spiritual models look towards subjective observation for their proofs. If we visualize our contrasting models and traditions as being dotted around the surface of an expanding colour sphere, we see that the one thing that all of our models so far have in common is that they all point outwards towards the higher levels of personal development we are expanding into. They're all looking for the foundational answers to what is happening and what would feel better rather than worse, which is in here at the center of the sphere, in the direction relative to themselves that points away from the center. The exact opposite direction to the only place it can be. Our existing and contrasting models seek foundational truth via sophistry, ever-increasing and subtle complexity. They look outwards, upwards, and forwards for that which is within us, below us, and behind us. And that is what distinguishes me from the rest. I am the only one who is remotely cognizant of the power of simplicity. The simplest truth is the one that applies with the most immovably concrete presence in all situations and contexts. This is how reality can only function, because complexity can only be emergent from simplicity. And the simplest truth absolutely has to be unbroken throughout all levels of complexity, of all forms, throughout all existence, at all times and forever. Yes? Yes? Do you hear the fundamental truth of this? The power of knowing the simplest truth is correspondent to the power of that truth. And the simplest truth is the all-powerful truth that all more complex truths are, emergent from and entirely subject to. Do you hear that? And the simplest truth the field can know, the simplest truth that I can know, the simplest truth that you can know, the simplest truth that anything can know is I am. All other truth is emergent from and subject to that truth. Do you hear that? Can you hear me? Is there anybody out there? Here is a thing I have found to be a strange discovery, though it turns out to be simple enough. People struggle to engage me in discussion about this stuff. They get tired in conversation with me. It's like they can't get strong enough purchase on what I'm saying to offer me coherent counter-arguments, which is what they generally wish to do. The reason for this, as far as I can see, is that we are none of us used to talking at the level of foundational simplicity. None of us do it. So we simply haven't witnessed enough of it to be inspired to try it and become practiced in it. Talking on the foundational level is just not on anybody's itinerary here. To offer a counterpoint to the way I talk about foundational simplicity, you first need to even have a coherent idea of your own about it in the first place. Everybody, it's okay for somebody, whether it's me or anybody else, to find a thing that everybody else has been looking for. It's not intended as an insult. I've been accused of seeing myself as superior to others by people who have not taken the time to actually notice what it is I'm perpetually talking about and what I think and feel about it. And all the while, this shining gem of a finding that I hold up for you all, it goes unappreciated, discarded, overlooked, passed over. Ho-hum. Sorry, darling, there's only so much time in the day. Whatever it is, I'm sure it's lovely. But you really should learn to hold that superiority complex of yours in check if you ever want people to take you seriously. I hope you don't think I'm whining and complaining here, because I'm not. I'm super duper fine, thank you. I'm just encouraging you to watch yourselves, honestly. I mean, really, are you absolutely sure you are not at all interested in knowing what is happening and what would feel better rather than worse? I know you're all kinds of busy, but still, it might even help with that. Awakening, ascending, whatever you want to call it. It's not some superpower to be achieved by great dedication or by only thinking nice thoughts. It is simply knowing what is happening, who you are, what your situation really is, and then learning to embody this knowledge. The difficult and sometimes painful part of this is not exerting yourself terribly to understand or do something that feels almost impossible. The pain and difficulty is that of detaching all of the painful lies that have become embedded in one. It may seem counterintuitive to suggest that we might struggle to release the view of ourselves that we are unworthy, guilty, insufficient, shameful, somehow contemptible, etc. But when we have found ourselves to be repeatedly punished whenever we did have an opinion of our own, we can become strongly averse to being ourselves. We have to stop caring about the judgments of others who have also been taught to harshly judge themselves. It's a process, sometimes very intense. The destination is only to arrive at that place of I am here now, and I know who I am. I am unapologetic and unashamed. I also know who you are, and I require no apology from you, sweetheart. I am sufficient unto myself. So, let's see where that goes from here, shall we?